Howdy everybody, this is Let's Be Real with Brad, and today we are finally getting our first movie back in the cinemas since the COVID-19 pandemic, and it is Russell Crowe's Unhinged. This is a action thriller that was supposed to be the first movie to open up around July 3rd, and it was back to July 17th, so on and so forth. But now we finally have it, and the only reason why people are gonna watch this movie is because it was the first movie to come back. Because otherwise, I don't think people will go see this movie. And let me tell you why. First things first, let's talk about some of the positives of this movie. Because thoroughly, I enjoy this movie, but I can't say it's a good movie. Because there's so many aspects to it that just scream, this is a bad movie. It has this and it has that. But it is so entertaining, and it's only an hour and 30, so this movie flows by so quickly, and you never feel like you really got your money wasted because you know exactly what you're in for, and that's why I think parts of this movie work. So the biggest real work for me is Russell Crowe. He is really, really entertaining in this movie. He really sells all these crazy, over-the-top moments that his character has to have because he's just a psychopath. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you know he's just has no rules, no boundaries, and he's going to do whatever he wants. And he sure does that in this movie. I think if Russell Crowe was in this movie at all, it wouldn't be good, to be honest. I don't think I would actually go watch this movie because Russell Crowe is such a great actor. Even in bad movies, he can still try to give it his all, or at least try in these movies. So he was really entertaining, especially given kind of a mediocre script, but it has some really hilarious one-liners that are mixed through that are so cheesy and made me roll my eyes. But you know what? It kind of worked with this campy, over-the-top style that the film was going for, so I'll definitely take that. He was intimidating. He just captured everything on screen, so he was definitely a big highlight that I'm glad they used thoroughly throughout the film. I thought the action scenes were handled pretty well. There's some really intense fight scenes that have some really interesting and crazy kills that I was not expecting. I mean, I only saw the trailer after the film because that's just kind of my little shtick. I don't really love to watch the trailers, but seeing how this was marketed, I'm like, okay, I can understand why people wanted to go see this film. It's just this crazy, massive action movie, and this movie definitely delivered. Sure, I think it could have been executed a little bit better, and you know, it could have a little more stakes to it, but I feel like the movie just compresses everything down, and you feel like there's always action in so many scenes, and you always feel like that tension keeps it going because no scene ever feels like it's too long, which is also another big positive is the pacing. The pacing is perfect for this film, especially with a movie like this. You just gotta take the fluff out, because if the movie's all set in one day and this crazy psychotic guy is gonna be chasing this girl, like in a film that we've seen before, you know, it has to work being entertaining and fast, because if it's not, it's going to leave me bored and uninterested, and by the time we get to the action, I just don't care. But the movie always keeps you in, whether you like it or not, and I think that was the best thing truly about this movie besides Russell Crowe. The action in this movie is so bloody, it's disgusting, and it really just goes all the way out with the film. So you know what, I'm going to take it because they really used that hard R rating to its advantage. Now let's get to the negatives of this film. And I think the biggest thing that isn't a lot of films, but especially in this one, is just the characters' stupid decision making. It's all over the place. And I get, you know, in movies like these, you kind of have to suspend disbelief that maybe the person's dumb, maybe not going to choose the right thing. You know, you got to give the characters a little bit of, you know, longevity with these things. But I feel like in this film, it happens so many times where I think the film could just wrap up, or maybe something interesting could happen, but it seems like these characters are just so dumb and make the worst decisions possible. It just let me sitting there like, oh, all you had to do is this. You just had to do that. Just do it. It's one of those things that I'm okay with in certain movies, but this was just so in my face, and I honestly couldn't stand it. I thought the writing was pretty weak in moments. I feel like they tried to put themselves in a pretty interesting situation, but didn't know how to get out of it, so they just felt cornered, and they just did something completely stupid just to keep the movie going, and that's just not very good writing to me. I also think the acting was kind of mediocre. I mean, besides Russell Crowe, everybody else is kind of meh. You know, some people are pretty solid, others, like, they have their moments where they're bad or they're good, and that could be just due to the really boring and not super interesting script they have to deal with. But I thought the acting just didn't really do it for me, to be honest. The technical aspects of this film, I think the music was kind of meh. I mean, it has like this, glaring, intense music that's playing. That's kind of generic, and it's something I've seen and heard in a lot of films before. But I think it worked effectively at times throughout this film. But overall, it wasn't something that was completely memorable because it felt kind of generic. The editing was actually pretty solid, considering a lot of the action scenes were actually done well in some parts. But I also thought there were some parts that got a little jump cutty, and that really didn't work for me. But I thought it was pretty solid. Overall, I think this is a movie that is really enjoyable. If you just turn off your brain, you can have a really good time, considering that the pacing is done so well and the action scenes are so great. But again, it really does make some really bad character decisions, really bad writing in times of this film, and some of the dialogue was just really uninteresting with some boring subplots just thrown in there, kind of just stuffing up like teddy bear or something just to have some fluff in it. But overall, you don't really care about anything going on. You're just here for the action. So I'm gonna give this film a 4 out of 10. Let me know if you guys are going to go see it with this whole pandemic going around. And if you guys are seeing it, please be safe. Please follow protocols. These movie theaters are doing an awesome job trying to make it safe for everybody and making sure that everyone has an enjoyable time going to the theater. But we can't screw this up because we'll go all the way back. We won't get movies for the whole year. So please be safe while you're out there. You guys could just please like, share the video, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and liking all my videos. You guys have been the best. If you like this video, I'll see you guys next one.